Chad, there may have been like 1 or 2 pay periods over the course of our career where we've been like overpaid for like an endorsement once or twice, right? Like that like carries over to the next month or something. But nothing like we're seeing at LSU.
No,
Brian Kelly.
And I feel like if there was any egregious error, it would be immediately spotted and then taken back.
Or it's taken out of the next month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Trey Wallace joins us. Outkick 360 rolls on. You can read more about this at outkick.com. Trey, how does LSU pay Brian Kelly $1 million more than what they should have?
You have a horrible accountant who doesn't pay attention, or if he's not paying attention, he knew what was going on and just let it fly by. That's the crazy thing. Y'all were talking about it. Like if Clay and Outkick or whatever decided to give me double pay during the month of December, I would probably point that out at the end of the month and then let them have a payment schedule to get it back. I mean, it's bonkers, and and the crazy part about that is, Jonathan, they didn't figure it out till November, so this had been going on for 7 months.
And this was through the audit of the university, right? And the biggest question is, whoever inputted this into the payroll or whatever, if it was $9 million, someone put a 10 instead of a 9. It's not just an extra a misplaced comma, right? Like it's an extra digit that's not a 0, and that's what's so weird about it.
Yeah, he was getting supplemental pay. I mean, if it wasn't for an audit done of and he was like Brian Kelly was one of like 3 coaches that were audited. So think about if they didn't audit Brian Kelly, like this could still be going on. So it's a funny story. It's a what in the world are you doing, LSU accountants type of story. And now they've set up a payment plan for him. It's like he took out a loan at Best Buy to pay back a television. So good luck, Brian Kelly.
Trey, let's get into this story that you had with Stetson Bennett and the Senior Bowl. It's very strange to me that if Stetson Bennett, in fact, had an opportunity to go, and he's healthy especially, you got Hendon Hooker going who's not healthy, it would only benefit him to go and go through the interview process there. Tell us more about this story and what you think about this decision from Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, I think it's a bad decision not to go to the Senior Bowl. And I have a piece coming out tomorrow, and it's kind of a behind-the-scenes look at the Senior Bowl and what you expect, as a player and as a GM, and you guys know about it. But the Senior Bowl is an opportunity where you get in front of coaches, you get in front of Bill Belichick or Harbaugh or you name it, Frank Reich, and you discuss. It's like the first test when it comes to being an NFL player, and the fact that he has decided not to play in the game, and that's one thing. The other thing is not showing up for and doing interviews with scouts that are there. The first day that Senior Bowl players arrive, on the second day, on Monday, these players get up in front of probably 400 NFL personnel members, and they're in their underwear and they're getting weighed and their measures, their hands and whatnot. It is very interesting to me that he didn't show up. And I was told he's been in Mobile for the last 4 or 5 days training down in Mobile where the game is going on. So that gave them the opportunity to go talk with Stetson Bennett and be like, hey, look, like we didn't technically invite you during the season, towards the end of the season, but we're saying, hey, come to the Senior Bowl. Like, we want you here. And his representatives in Stetson thought that it wasn't a good idea for him. I have a couple of theories of why he didn't show up. One of them being that they're going to figure out how much this kid weighs and actually how small he is. But that shouldn't be like something to deter you from going. Like everybody knows, knows how much you weigh. Everybody, but there is a couple of things in there that maybe Jonathan Chad that would scare him off.
Maybe. I mean, there are 17 scouts across the league at every Georgia game. Like they already know what the guy
exactly.
looks like in pads. So I don't think that's the issue. I don't. So two big questions. Like, and I reached out to Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl last night. And I haven't heard back, and I'm sending another text because why was he not invited to begin with?
Well, I think that, and this is my personal opinion, so go with it as you will. I think they were waiting on Will Levis. And when Will Levis decided not to play in the game, and this was kind of recently, I think that's when they started having discussions with Stetson Bennett about coming. Now, I think that Stetson. Here's the thing about the Senior Bowl. They just added Malik Cunningham from Louisville as a quarterback. They added a Charlotte wide receiver yesterday. Mm-hmm. The Senior Bowl adds players, as the season goes on. And by the way, Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl does a fantastic job.
Oh, it's excellent.
They get these recommendations from NFL personnel. So it's not like Jim Nagy is sitting there in the office and thinking, okay, well, we don't know if Stetson should come, but Will Levis maybe should come, or Malik Cunningham. They're getting input from who's going to be down there. I am kind of curious as to why maybe an invitation didn't come in the mail 5 weeks ago. But there's always a marker for that. And if and maybe you'll agree with this, Jonathan and Chad, if you're projected to be a 6th or 7th round draft pick, the Senior Bowl is not usually for those type of players normally.
Right.
These are guys that from maybe 1st round to 5th round, something like that. Like if you think you're going to go later, usually you don't come to the Senior Bowl. But you have to make an exception, in my opinion, for a 2-time national championship quarterback and a guy who's lost 1 game in the last 2 years. So it is kind of interesting, hoping to get some answers when I get down to Mobile to cover that for next week. But it came down to Stetson, by the way, at the end. He said, I didn't want to do it. His reps did. Whoever did, they said they didn't want to do it. And, the Senior Bowl tried.
Trey, it's a good time to be involved in Tennessee athletics. It's a profitable time as well for both Danny White and Josh Heupel. No surprise, both guys get big raises and big contract extensions. What did you make of the news this week?
Yeah, Chad, I thought that was a statement from Dondi, and I thought that was a statement from Danny White. Hey, you know what? We have a good thing going here. We're looking towards the future. We want to lock this thing up. Make a buyout as big as you want to. It really doesn't matter. But we're going to pay Josh Heupel what we think the market should be for a coach that goes 11-2 and beats Clemson in the Orange Bowl and the wins that they had this year and the progression that they've made. Because you look around the conference, Chad, and you look at some of the other salaries. Eli sitting around 6. Shane Beamer, in that 6 market. Billy Napier, as well. Josh Heupel is now up there, right behind Jimbo, right behind Nick Saban, right behind Kirby Smart, Brian Kelly. This is a statement that Tennessee is saying, you know what? We think that we're back. We think that we have things going in the right direction. We proved it on the field next year. We want to make Josh Heupel as profitable as he can be. And when you pay a coach like that as well, you're not just rewarding the coach, you're also publicly making a statement to the college football world that, hey, we got this thing going in the right direction. He deserves this amount of money. Now it's up to Josh Heupel to not pull a Mel Tucker, where Mel Tucker gets this boatload of money, and then they turn around, Michigan State's not good. They're playing bad last year. Josh Heupel's got to keep this thing going in the right direction, but I think he will. And you hit on that second part with Danny White. That's a very smart move by Tennessee. It's not like Danny White was going anywhere, okay? But I think Tennessee, look at all the sports, okay? Look at men's basketball and where they're at right now. That's a top 5 team in the country. Women's basketball tonight, I think they've won, if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 9 games in a row. They're going to play UConn tonight on national television at 8 o'clock Eastern time. You've got a baseball team and Tony Vitello, who is the villains of the college baseball world, but he's earned his paycheck in the crowds that he is bringing out and what he has done with that program. And you can go on. You go track and field. You can go However, the swim team, they're having success. Danny White has done a really good job of uniting the Tennessee fan base. Because remember when he first came in there, he said, let's get rid of all these distractions on Twitter. Let's not be negative. All Twitter needs to chill out. What have we seen over the last 2 years for Tennessee? We've seen them make a steady upward climb of success. And I think that has to do with Danny White rearranging that building over there on campus. And I think it's the hires that he has made. And if it isn't the hires that he's made, it's how he's handled those hires in the process.
Yeah, text a buddy, I think is what he said. Instead of going to social media, just text a buddy when your team loses and you're upset. It's a lot easier. It's still the same type of therapy. I love the line from Danny White in the press release also where he said something like, after a brief period of dormancy, Tennessee never relinquished their place as a college football powerhouse nationally, and now we're back. I will also say this, Trey.
We're back.
There's pressure on Josh Heupel from this perspective. You make $9 million a year. This is now the expectation. Not to go 11-2 every year, but now suddenly 8-4 next year is a disappointment to Tennessee fans. That wasn't the case 2 or 3 years ago. You're praying for 8-4 at Tennessee. Now 8-4, and you are going to have some Tennessee fans not texting a buddy and taking to social media and saying, why are we paying this guy $9 million a year to be middle of the pack in the SEC?
Chad, I would have hated to seen what some Tennessee fans would have done to go 8-4 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, or have success. You look at last year and what they did. You come back this year, you win the games that you pull off. That Alabama game was probably the best college football game of the year, not behind, but right there with LSU and Bama and Death Valley. So you beat Florida. You're showing off to get some of these teams. You have this high-powered offense. You get the number 1 ranking in the country. He's come in and he has done a very good job, first off, of setting expectations. Second of all, of getting the right players that he needs for his program. And I think that when you look towards the future, I agree with you. Next year, 8-4 ain't going to cut it. Not for a $9 million man. And here's the thing. That's good to have expectations like that now, if you're paying that head coach that amount of money. Like you look at Tennessee's schedule next year, I see 9-3, maybe if they get, Joe Milton keeps the football inside Neyland Stadium, 9-3, maybe 10 wins. We'll see. But I think setting that tone with Josh Heupel, with the amount of money, you put him in that different tier. And that's also, I'll add this, that's also when he goes on the recruiting trail and when he's meeting with other coaches or whatnot or going into SEC meetings, they all know he's a $9 million man now. He's one of the highest paid coaches in the Southeastern Conference in college football. And you know what? Treat him, it gives you a different amount of kind of respect, I guess is the best way to put it. And good on Danny White and Don D. Plowman for doing it because they could have gotten cheap. They could have gone like $7 million or something like that. That wouldn't have made a splash. What they did made a splash, and Tennessee continues to do it.
Well, the other splash comes with Danny White, right? Just based on it's believed that he is now the highest paid SEC AD based on this raise. So Heupel benefits from Beamer, Drinkwitz, Kiffin, and all the raises they received to remain at the universities they're coaching for. Who is going to benefit from Danny White's new contract across the SEC?
I think it's just stability with Tennessee and what they're paying. I think that if you look at the biggest thing too is the money that's about to be in this conference, guys. I mean, the reason why some teams are spending money now is because they know here in 2 years, there's about to be a Brinks truck backed up to every school at the end of every year, dropping off huge bags of cash from television contracts that they are receiving. I think that, you look around at other athletic directors, look at John Cohen, at Auburn, Scott Strickland at Florida. I could go on. Yurachek, Arkansas. You're putting yourself into a spot with Danny White where you're almost doing the same thing with Josh Heupel. You're saying, we think we have one of the best coaches in college football in Josh Heupel. So with Danny White, you're saying, okay, we think we have one of the best athletic directors. We're going to pay him Like, we think he is one of the best athletic directors in the country. And I think that's a smart move by Tennessee in the long run. I think that, you look at what he has done at the university, and I think he's earned it. But they got to continue. And it's not just football, and it's not just basketball. It's what you're doing with Neyland Stadium. It's what you're doing with Thompson Bowling Arena. Getting the baseball stadium redone and actually make it, where you want to go hang out, on a Friday night at the end of February and it's freezing, but it's a really cool environment. Like, he is doing all of those things. So they secured Danny White. They also made a statement to the rest of the country that we think we got the best out there.
Trey Wallace, our guest on Outkick 360. Trey, have you heard anything about the Michigan quarterback and offensive coordinator search currently going on there?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Jonathan. No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you. That's a position that people should pay attention to T. Martin with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that any job is what's the best way to put this? I think any opportunity that becomes available, especially to be able to call an offense is a lot different, when you're a wide receivers coach. If you can be a co-offensive coordinator, I think you always have to listen, Jonathan. You know this. I mean, there are many universities out there that have those co-titles that don't really mean anything. I think at Michigan it actually does. In talking with a few people about that situation, I think that if you can come in and they can find a quarterback's coach that's been there and done that and knows the lay of the land when it comes to college football, I think, T. Martin would be a nice fit. Now, will he take it? If he's offered, that's a completely different story, because we are seeing a changing landscape right now in college football, gentlemen, where these college coaches are wanting to get out. They are wanting to get in the NFL, and they're wanting to get away from the recruiting, the transfer portal, the NIL, everything that goes into it. I can't tell you how many assistant coaches I have spoken with during this past season that are wanting a way to get out of college football. And it's not because they don't like college football. It's because they have no life outside of college football. And I think that's, that's one of the factors. I'll be honest with you, that's kind of one of the reasons why, Martin took the job with the Ravens after talking with him. That's one of the reasons why Bill O'Brien has gotten out of Alabama. It's not just because Nick Saban wanted to ship something off and change something up on offense. Bill O'Brien was tired of dealing with the recruiting stuff and tired of dealing with NIL and transfer. It just got old having to have a conversation, at 10:30 at night with a 17-year-old kid. And the first thing that he's asking you is, how much money am I going to make when I get on campus? Like, these guys are tired of it, and the grind is never ending. And so I think you're going to see over the next 2 to 3 years this change continue to happen, where more college coaches are trying to get out of that area and maybe get into the NFL. And I think that's why you're going to see a couple splash names of the next few years.
I think there probably are a few coaches, I'd put T. Martin maybe in this category, that are the reverse of that they get bored just doing football. And they don't want to just do football all the time, and they actually enjoy recruiting, and they enjoy going to high schools and evaluating kids and doing all that. It's probably a small select few I'm talking about here, Trey, but I'm willing to bet that there are a few coaches, like, I kind of miss the college game because I like splitting up the time between hardcore football stuff and, I got to go to Colioca, Alabama to go recruit this linebacker also and build a relationship with him. That may actually excite some coaches out there.
Chad, that's a perfect example. No, it does. You've got some coaches that love to be on the road, love to recruit. They want to be at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas when it's, 15 degrees outside, and they want to be talking to some of these players and recruits. It's just, there's a different mindset between some. And you know what? And some coaches, maybe they just need a year or two off. Go somewhere, go to the NFL where it's more chill and relax, and, you're home by 6 o'clock at night. You're not having to deal with everything that comes with being a college coach, not just recruiting and not just on the field, everything that goes into it. And in the NFL is a little bit more lax. And a couple of people have told me, you come to work every day in the NFL, I'm working with professionals. I ain't going to go, you're not having to go out there and you're not having to deal with, a college kid's problems and what's going on outside of the football complex. Not that they don't care. It just takes a wear on you. It strains you if you've been doing it for so long. So I do think that, there is that portion that guys love it. They want to do it. And I think with this new change in college football, I do think as though it's going to wear on some and maybe you see it. But it would not surprise me if you see coaches start jumping back from the NFL, back into college, in this place, just switcheroo now. So, yeah, there is that thing. And I think it benefits too. If you get a high-paying job and the money that's being floated out there right now, why not get back into the game? So it's an interesting question and equation, Chad.
Read more from Trey and check out the Trey Wallace podcast at Outkick.com. Trey, appreciate you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me so much. And we'll be down at the Senior Bowl next week with full coverage on that. So stick with Outkick 360, and you guys stick with Outkick.com, and I hope you'll have a great weekend.
Look forward to reading that and having you on the show from Mobile next week. Thanks, Trey.
Enjoy it. There is Trey Wallace, Outkick.com.